And we're back like we never left. Oregon fans, what's going on? How we living? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Ducks Dish podcast. I'm your host, Max Torres with Scoop Duck on 3, coming to you on Wednesday, May 8th, 2024 from Long Beach, California. Got a very special interview today, special guest on the show, Karl Holmes Jr. of Oregon football will be with us today. But before we get into that, the Ducks Dish podcast is brought to you in part by Ranchito Grill in Springfield. Not sure what your dinner plans are tonight, but head on over to Ranchito at 1537 Mohawk Boulevard. Try their homemade tortillas. They got great food, great environment, and they will take care of you. Say what's up to my guy Ruben and let him know that Max Torres sent you. So we're getting into the pod today. I got Oregon football director of player engagement, Karl Holmes, on the show. He is here. Karl, how you doing, man? Thanks for being here.
What's up, Max? How you doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing well, man. Just excited to be back. I was out in California for a couple of days, visiting my parents, and back in Eugene now, man. It feels good to be here. I never thought I would say that. Being here for a year now, it took me a little while to get adjusted to, but now I get happy when I come back to Eugene. I don't got to deal with the LA traffic, the overpopulated, landscape of people. I get to just relax and chill it. I call it my chill zone.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, as someone, we've kind of switched places, right? I'm in SoCal, you're in Eugene.
Yeah.
It's definitely two very different places. But yeah, man, I kind of wanted to just get started in today's show by learning a little bit about your story and your journey to Oregon, because as great as Oregon is, and as great as you are, people may not know too much about you because you're not a coach, right?
Yeah.
But what you do is super important. So if you could, just get us up to speed a little bit here, man. Kind of tell us a bit about what you do, if you could, and just a bit about your story and how you got to Oregon.
Yeah, so I'll jump into what I do. What I do is essentially player development. I think the titles really don't matter. You got to create a bunch of titles to give everybody a position. So I ended up with the title of director of player engagement. But essentially, I'm under the player development umbrella. So I work hand in hand with Uzman. He's the director of player development, and Eden, he's the director of player academics. So we're all under the player development umbrella. Just got different titles, but we all really work together as one. But I would say, essentially, we're the big brothers, uncles of the program. From the time guys move in, we're very hands-on. I'll rewind it. From a time we're hands-on in recruiting, and from a time a guy commits to, filling out his application and his paperwork till when he actually signs the dotted line, and we do all of that onboarding process, and then all the way to the move-in day, man. We're here with the guys when they move in. We help them get settled into their apartments and things like that. And then just we're just there every step of the way for whatever they would like to do, whatever they would like to accomplish in the professional world, personally, in the community. We're just there for them, man. So what it looks like is kind of when you're a freshman, we kind of help you navigate your the college athletic landscape. We'll get you involved with some community service, let you do some little internships, job shadowing, kind of figuring out what you want to do. Your first year, your second year, we kind of just take it up one more notch. Like I said, that's helping our guys academically, professionally, personally. We guys might want to create a business. I've helped guys create an LLC, start their own business. I've helped guys learn how to drive, open up bank accounts. I've just been there to talk to guys when they're going through a lot of stuff that I do isn't written in my job description. A lot of it is after work, is after hours, is a lot of phone calls and building relationships, and just it's tough, man. It's tough being a college football player. It's tough being away from home. It's tough learning in this environment. It's such a fast pace, and everybody's got their eyes on you. And guys are afraid to make mistakes, and I'm just here to let them know and help them through their mistakes. That's really what our job is, to just really care for the players, to be an extra set of ears and eyes. Like now, our coaches are on the road, so everything that the players want to do, from a professional or community service engagement standpoint, comes through us. So we're kind of the admin while the coaches are gone, and then when the coaches are here, we kind of just help our guys navigate. Man, it's pretty cool, man. It's a job that um, my job is different every day. Every day that I clock in, I don't have like a set sort of rubric I go by. I just kind of go with the flow based on the needs of the teams and the players, man. So it's pretty cool.
Lots of great stuff there, Karl. Wow, yeah, it doesn't sound like a job where it's the same every day. You might have something new thrown at you that you didn't even have to deal with the day before. So it sounds like
Yeah.
something that keeps you on your toes out there in Eugene, and lots of different experiences. One of the things I want to get into, kind of that you talked about with that answer, is just kind of life outside of football, right? You talked about internships or job shadowing or being the uncles if something comes up, whatever it may be. Can you just speak to kind of your experience as far as how important it is to help these guys develop off the field? Because as you hear, the football goes flat at some point, right? So you got
Yep.
to have other things in your arsenal, other things you're passionate about. Can you just speak to that a little bit and what your experience has been like with that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we try to let our players know in the player development space is football is what you do and not who you are. So for us, we want our guys to have an identity outside of football because being a former Division One athlete myself, and my colleagues on the player development team, they were former Division One athletes themselves too. We've seen a lot of guys go to these universities. They're there for 3 to 4 or 5 years, and from a football standpoint, the coaches are going to get the most out of you as much as they can through an athletic strain or what they call sweat equity. So we want you to take full advantage of what the university have to offer and the resources that they have. So while obviously football is the reason why they're here because they got an athletic scholarship, we want them to understand that school is just as, if not more important, because if you play football, let's say you go to the NFL and you're a first round draft pick and you play 10 years, you'll be done by 32. So that means you have another 40 to 45, maybe 50 years of living to do that's not playing football. So what are you going to do then? So I think it's very important to be able to get our guys to think about what they want to do. And corporate America isn't for everybody. We try to tell guys that, hey, school is, some guys love school and they gravitate towards it. Other guys, it's a little bit tougher for them. So we want our space to be okay, even if you don't want to go work a job in corporate America, maybe there's some type of skill or trade that you can learn while you're here. And we've brought in contractors, we brought in construction workers to be able to have our guys job shadow and just let them know that going into corporate America isn't the only route that you want to take. But we want our guys to be well attributed in a lot of things. So that way, when it comes to whatever you want to jump into, you'll be able to jump in like you've been doing it for a long time.
Certainly important to have multiple things that you can be good at, or ways you can create value for yourself in today's world, right? Certainly as an athlete, kind of like what we're saying, you're not just an athlete. It's not just what you it's not what you are, it's what you do,
Yeah.
with that football perspective of things. um, One of the cool things, Karl, that I feel like I really enjoyed about playing football, I'll be totally honest to you and the viewers, I was no one special. I played freshman and JV football, and then once I started varsity workouts in high school, I realized I wasn't cut out for this. I wasn't for the physicality and putting my body on the line and what it is. But I loved being around the game, and I was a student manager my junior and senior year, and I feel like there were still lessons I could take from the game because I was around it so often. So, my question for you, Karl, is just when you look at all the lessons that this game can teach you, not just what you're doing on the field or in the gym, in the weight room, what are some of those that you think really come to light in your line of work?
I think the biggest thing, man, is just being accountable and time management. I think football's a great game. I think it's a microcosm of life. You can be doing everything right. You can show up early. You can put the extra work in. You can study the extra film, and things still don't go your way. You know what I'm saying? You can out prepare a team, and all it takes is one play. You did everything in your will and your power, but on one play you messed up, and that'll cost you the game. Well, that's life. In life, you can do everything right, the right way, the correct way, and things don't go your favor. So I just want our guys to know that, man, the game that you're playing and the skills that you're learning and being a Division One athlete, especially here at the University of Oregon, those are transferable skills that they don't even think about. Waking up early in the morning, being 15 minutes early, that's considered on time here at the University of Oregon. Just small, minute things like that will take them to the next level when they get into the corporate America. A lot of companies reach out to us almost kind of too much. We have to gatekeep how many companies we actually want our student athletes to work with, because it's a blessing to be able to be a part of a national brand like Oregon. But a lot of companies reach out and they want to hire student athletes, not just football players, but all student athletes. Across all sports, because they carry those skills that a lot of people don't necessarily may not have due to them not playing a college athletic sport. So I would just say, just like teamwork, team building, how to work out problems and things like that, and problem solving and things like that. I think those are probably some of the main things you can get. But I mean, there's tons of skills from the game of football and just being a student athlete that it'll teach you.
Great stuff there, Karl. We're learning a bit more about obviously your day to day and the value and the stuff that you're doing. What I kind of wanted to go into now a little bit was just to learn a little bit more about your story
Yeah.
specifically, because I think everybody on that staff, everybody in that building, has a story to tell. So
Yes,
for
sir.
the listeners who maybe aren't too familiar with you, they're about to be. They got to be. I think it's important. Tell us a little bit about your journey, man, and how you landed in Eugene.
Man, it was a crazy journey, man. It was a journey that started in 2012 for me. So that's 12 years ago, man. And it's crazy how the universe works and how things align, man. Um I'm from Pasadena, California. Grew up with a single mom. Didn't have it too good, didn't have it too bad. I was somewhere right in the middle. Um and just being fortunate enough, man, to be able to play sports throughout my childhood and into my adolescent years. I was fortunate enough to get a college scholarship to Arizona State. I went to Arizona State, and then that's where I met Coach Lannon. Coach Lannon was a graduate assistant when I was a freshman, and that's kind of where we started our relationship. Me being a scout team player my freshman year, redshirting, him being a defensive GA. We would cross paths a lot. Just him just teaching us, certain things that we needed to do that the defense wanted to see, the way cards are supposed to look, and just trying to go out there and get my best look. And just thinking, I remember my mom always telling me, even if things don't work out, always treat people good because you never know when you may need them. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I ended up transferring out of Arizona State after 3 years. And when I left on such good graces. It was really a situation that I didn't want to leave, but just due to certain things with our head coach, we just weren't seeing eye to eye. So I decided to transfer. Um, Transfer, went to a Division II school, played football there for a year, and then medically retired due to concussions. That was a really hard period for me in my life because, again, football was all that I knew, and I had a bunch of people from the inner city of LA telling me that you need to go to the NFL. This is the only way out. This is what you need to do to take care of your family. So once I was faced with a decision on whether to keep playing or to not play, I ultimately decided not to play and continue my football career. But I knew I wanted to be a part of the game, so I finished out my bachelor degree at Grand Valley State University and graduated from there. Then I took 2 years off. I moved back home to California. Man, I was driving Uber for 2 years. Just
Oh,
driving Uber, living at my uncle's house in Calabasas. And I know people hear Calabasas and think that I was just at a mansion like the Kardashians, but no, it was just normal middle-aged America. I really didn't have anywhere to go, so I lived with my uncle, and I drove Uber for 2 years. That was 2017 to 2019, and then I started working with at-risk juveniles in the Los Angeles Detention Center. So just really working with them and helping them program and transition back into young adulthood. I would have about 8 to 10 guys on my caseload. A lot of these come from really traumatic situations, and just trying to just help them navigate, through their teenage, their life. So what that would look like is if a guy got released from juvenile hall, I would be his case manager. He would get sent to a residential facility, which is sort of like a group home. And then I would work with this guy. He had 6 months at that specific facility, and we'll have a checklist of things that we're trying to knock out within that 6 months. For some of them, that's getting a high school diploma, getting a GED, getting your driver's license, learning how to make doctors and dentist appointments, learning the bus system in LA and how to take the bus and the metro and using public transportation. Just getting their first apartments, helping them get their first car, open a bank account. So some of the same things I'm doing now here for the football team, I was doing it for some the juveniles released from the detention center in Los Angeles. So did that for 4 years, and then in 2021, after COVID, I started teaching high school and PE and history, and I taught at my alma mater, John Muir High School in Pasadena. Taught there for 2 years, and then in 2022 they got a new head coach, Coach Lance Mitchell, one of my good friends and mentors. He asked me would I come on and coach with him. So in 2022, we started coaching high school football together. We went 4-6. We won a coin toss to get into the playoffs. We got into the playoffs into Division 10, and we won the whole entire thing, man. We won a championship. But in the middle of that championship run, I got a phone call from Rashad Wadoud, who is the defensive backs graduate assistant right now. So me and Rashad went to Arizona State together. We're in the same recruiting class. We were the last two student athletes to be accepted in our class and to clear the NCAA clearinghouse. It was a lot more harder to get cleared back then than there is now. So that SAT score come back to bite you, man, for real. So, but nah. So Rashad called me. He was working here, and he was like, "Hey, bro, I got a job for you. I think you'll be good at it." And I was like, "Man, I don't want to coach, man. I don't want to live that coaching lifestyle, man." He's like, "No, no, no, it's not coaching. It's actually player development." He's like, they've been interviewing a lot of people, and I just felt like this is something that you would, I know you told me you didn't want to work in college because I really didn't. He was like, I think this will be good for you. So, um, about 2 or 3 weeks went by, and he was like, "Hey, I got a initial interview set up." So set up. I got on the Zoom with Lannon, caught up with him, caught up with Rashad, talked to Matt Neuer and Cody Look, our DFOs, and then Marshall, our chief of staff, and they just told me, "Hey, you want to come up for an interview weekend in December?" And I told them as long as I could finish my playoff run, I'll come up there. So we ended up winning the championship, and then 2 weeks after we won our championship, I flew to Eugene to interview for this player development position, man. And when I got up here, I was like, man, this place is beautiful. It was the first time I got to come to Eugene on the other side. I played here one time when I was in college, but just being on the home side, man, it just felt different. And, the people in the building, they always talk about how special this place is, but it's the people in the building that make this place really special. So I was a little hesitant at first because I was like, man, I was kind of comfortable and settled in California. I'm not going to lie. I love my job. I love what, Coach Lance Mitchell was building at John Muir High School within his football program. But he told me, he was like, man, you got to just take that. Like, he's like, it's not too many, it's not too often. Or University of Oregon comes knocking on your door coming straight from high school to take a job like this. So he was like, man, if you don't like it in a year, you can come back. I'll give you your position back here at the school on the team. So I took a leap of faith, man, and it's just been awesome ever since, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit nervous coming in, just because you hear the University of Oregon and it's such big expectations, and it was a job that although I was familiar with the position, I didn't know how to really necessarily how it would work. How like what would my day to day be like. But then I just jumped in this thing head first, and Landon was like, "Man, don't be afraid to make mistakes. We're building this player development program from the ground up, and we're going to do it. You're going to be able to have as much creative freedom as you want. I'm going to let you know what I feel like is important to me and things that we must hit on. And then the rest of it, man, you take it and you do what you want with it, and you just, you have fun with it." So that was super awesome to me. And the first thing I did when I got here, man, was just connect with the players, because the players are the product. Like, we not on this show without our players. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't get to feel Austin up without the players, and vice versa. And just so I made it a priority to be able to tap in with our guys. So I immediately went in and tapped in with Bucky and Bo and Trayshawn and Troy and all the guys, man. I manage 120 relationships. It's not easy by any means. It's a little easier when you got Eden and Uzman because those guys are great. But those guys are busy as well. So yeah, man, a year later I'm here. It's been super awesome, man. Working for Coach Landon is awesome. It's almost like for me it's surreal because I hear all these horror stories about other programs. I'm not gonna say specifically who or anything like that, but to be like, they be like, bro, your head coach talk to you or like your head coach text you. I'm like, yeah, like me and Dan text all the time. Like whether it's about sports or anything else outside of the University of Oregon, we just if I have a question, I could text him, I could call him, he gonna answer. Like he's the most down to earth guy ever, man. But the thing about Dan is he's a workaholic, and you almost kind of feel bad if you're not working at the same level that he is because it's like, how could you not? Some head coaches come in here and they poke their chest out and they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. But Dan talks the talk and he walks the walk. So it makes it a lot easier to be able to just, fly around here and just be grateful for your situation and just be happy, man, and just be able to help people, man. That's what it's all about. It's about serving, man. Like it's not really about me. It's about the players and the people and the community and the fans and people like you who work hard to cover the team. That's really who it's about. It's not about me. I feel like, God has a vision for me, and whatever is in store for me in my life, I will accomplish. But like I feel like you get to other places, like wherever you want to be in your life, you get to other places faster by helping people.
Man, Karl, like that answer itself, that could probably be a podcast episode. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Wow, that was awesome, awesome stuff. I always wonder how people are gonna react when you say, "Hey, tell your story," and that's just the question. Like, what a huge open-ended question.
Yeah.
But man, that is so cool. I know I had a couple follow-ups pop into my head, but
Yep.
like, man, what would you say? I'm trying to think of a creative way to ask this, so bear with me. What would you say if you have your college athletic career end with the concussions, right? You medically retire, and
Hmm.
then you're whipping around in some Ubers
Hmm.
down in SoCal. If I told you in that moment that you're going to be the director of player engagement at Oregon, doing what you're doing now, what would your reaction be, man? What would you think?
Man, I would have probably laughed at you, man. I would have probably laughed at you because at the time, I don't even know who was coaching here. Mario Cristobal, maybe at the time, or maybe Willie Taggart when I first started driving Uber. It was one of the two. I would have laughed. I would have said, Max, man, get out of here, man. How am I gonna get to the University of Oregon? Because in this business, you kind of got to know somebody. If you don't know somebody, you know what I'm saying, that's gonna be able to help you out or bring up your name when you're not there, man. Shout out to Rashad. Because I'm sure Rashad could have mentioned a bunch of people's name, but he mentioned me, and for what it's worth, when I got my opportunity, I was ready. But I just think in life, man, you just always got to be ready because you never know when the next opportunity is gonna come, and if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
There you go. Yeah, simple, simple, hard truth, man. I mean that it's I like to hear that. Another follow up that kind of came to mind for me. You said you're managing or like responsible for 120, I think it was,
Yep.
young men. So when you have a job to do, right? Like you have to take care of these guys, right? You're their uncles. Was one of the words that you used. Like how do you not get caught up in like making sure everybody's taken care of, or like how do you make them not just a number, because that's a daunting number, and I know you said it's not just yourself, but how do you strike that balance between being your authentic self and being genuine and showing them that you care, and then doing your job, the bottom line, so to speak?
Yeah, I think the more you're available, the more that the players can see you, the more that you're able to answer those questions and be able to help when they come in. Because I get some players that I talk to every single day, and then I get some players that just come and they doing their own thing, and they may check in with me every 2 3 weeks, every month. So everybody's needs are different. Everybody is different. So I would just say, just leaning on your peers, leaning on coaches, strength coaches, leaning. We got a big staff here, so just leaning on other people because a player may not necessarily find a time to have a conversation with you about something, but he may have time to, he's sitting at dinner with our dietitian, Brenna, or he's talking with Lydia, our director on campus recruiting, or Tyler Dean, or Pat, any of our wonderful people that work in the building. So just leaning on your peers, leaning on my colleagues, man, to just be able to take care. And then I'm just listening. My ears is always to the streets. So whenever the players is saying that they need something, or they feel like they're lacking, which they shouldn't be lacking anything, man. These guys is just living lavish. But there are some needs for some players, and I just try to be able to be a guy that finds solutions, man, in a world full of problems. If I could, the more solutions I could find, I feel like the better I'll be. So trying to just be solution based for real.
And one thing we hear so much about, Karl, whether it's when we're talking to Dan as reporters after practice, after a game, or for me when I'm talking to recruits, very important word here: culture. The culture really, helps guide everything, right? It's kind of the guardrails, I feel like. And you were saying, I have people tell me that people make the place special. So
Yeah.
from your perspective, from your vantage point inside the HTC, just tell me about that Oregon culture and what it makes it special.
Man, like I said earlier, man, Dan runs a tight ship, man, and when the captain that's steering it is laser focused, and he's ready to willing to do whatever sacrifice, whatever time needs be. I think Coach Lannon said he's been to one of or two of his son's basketball game in the last year, and it wasn't something that he was just proud of, but he was just saying like, "Yo, this is what I signed up for." So you don't really get a work life balance in this, but collectively, man, we all got one goal. We trying to win. We trying to win. We want to see our players graduate, and we want to see them go to the NFL and get jobs. So collectively, man, it's just we all in it together. It's like nobody's bigger. That's why I told you earlier in the show, titles don't matter. Like nobody's bigger than the next. You'll be like Marshall. Man, I love Marshall because Marshall is the chief of staff, but he'll walk around there like what I'm saying. Like he an intern. Like he's so accessible. We could call him. We could talk to him. We got questions. Like you feel me? He could tell it. Oh, I seen it done this way at Bama or Georgia. This what didn't work. This what did work. I was at UW. I was at Boise. Like Marshall's been a bunch of places, so he's got a lot of wisdom, man. So just listening to him and Dan, and then the rest of our coaching staff, and all the way to our recruiting guys, man. We got so many elite people in our building, man. Like our building is full of elites, and like man, you like I'm sure other programs have tried to come grab other people in the building and things like that, but it's people that's like, nah, I'm not leaving this building. I'm not leaving this culture because it's just super awesome, man. It's a blessing, man. It's just something that you kind of got to get around. You got to get around it to see it. And I ain't gonna lie, if you come up here to Eugene and you don't like being in our building and you don't like our staff, I feel like something wrong with you because you feel me? Not to toot our own horn like that, but it's some real genuine people that really care about the student athletes, and I feel like it's not like that everywhere you go. Like it's not transactional with us. For us, it's like we really care. Like even kids who don't come here, like if kids end up choosing another schools, that's fine with us. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna talk bad or talk down on the kid or our family. We still show love because you never know. A year later, a guy may be wanting to come back to your program. It's never over. With the transfer portal and things like that. So we just try to be real genuine, man. People in our building is genuine. They willing to help. It's a lot of questions I got that I don't know when it comes to like certain rules about certain things. I can go to Pat. I can go to Tyler. They don't make me feel less than for not knowing. They just everybody's willing to teach. Like if I want to learn football, like Landon will let me come into the defensive meetings. I'm player development. Like if I want to learn about receivers and concepts, like Junior Adams let me sit in this meeting. Like I sit in a League Terry's meeting to learn O line. Like, yeah, I'm player development, but I'm like, I just want to, I want to learn what y'all doing. So I travel to all the games. It's like cool to talk to players about like, oh, well, bro, you're not hitting the hole. Y'all supposed to do this on this play. See that, and then when I hit them with that, they like, oh, he really in here paying attention. It's not just like I'm just another person on there on the sideline just standing around. I'm like, all right, bro, I know what you're actually supposed to be doing on this play. So I think just being in a place like this where it's such an open policy and it's such an open door, and if you want to learn something, man, ain't nobody stopping you. Dan got an open door policy. Marshall got an open door policy. It's just a super open policy around here, man. Not for the people on the outside though.
Definitely not, definitely not. But that's okay. That contributes to some of the mystique. It makes it interesting, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Sounds like some Coach Holmes there when the player's like, "Oh man, this guy really does know what he's talking
yeah.
about."
Now the defense
Um,
is a little tricky. I kind of stay away from the D. Our defense is really tricky. So like, you got to just give kudos for our guys to be student athletes and to learn our defense. Like them guys is that's like learning algebra, geometry, trigonometry, and going to college. And some of them it might be like some aerospace engineering for real. Because every time I sit in the defensive meeting, I'd be like, "Oh nah, man, Tosh, Ham, what y'all got going on? Let me just stick to concepts with offense." So
Cool, cool. Well, we're about 30 minutes in here, Carl. So I definitely want to wind it down with you, man. I could talk your ear off all day if you let me.
yeah,
But man, yeah, you do so many different things. It sounds like you wear so many different hats with your job. I mean,
yeah.
hopefully people that have listened to this can understand what you're doing and how important it is to have someone like yourself on this staff. The one I want to kind of end it with here, Carl, just the easy way to ask it is why do you like your job so much? But I feel like you've gotten into that throughout the whole episode so far. But is there something you do in your job that really just lights you up and kind of makes you reflect like, man, like I'm in the right place and I'm really content with what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I just think for me it's just building the relationships, man. The relationship with these players, man, because it's such a different relationship than a relationship with a coach. Like these guys come talk to me about any and everything, man, and just being that person that they can trust and that they can lean on with information that they may not want to share with the coach or their mom or dad, or they may just be going through something and they hurting and they just need somebody to talk to. And I just like being that person that they could trust and they could lean their shoulder on, man. And it's like you never know how much a small conversation or a small gesture may mean to these guys, but these guys pay attention. They know who really care. They know who really real. They know who the real and the fake is. If you ask around, like they'll tell you. So just being able to be one of those guys in this building that the players could lean on for anything, man. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than me helping them find a job or an internship, man. It's just like I tell guys all the time, man. My phone don't stop ringing once you're done being a player, or it don't stop working for you. Even guys that transferred out and they felt like this wasn't the best situation for them. If it's something I could do for guys that left, because I'm all in the business of helping nobody. I don't got no enemies in this. Like we're all in it for student athlete success. So that makes it a little easier on me. But like the other day, I got a text from Bucky Irvin. He just texted me like I love you, and it was just like that's the type of stuff that is not broadcasted. It's not seen. Um, it's not talked about, and it's just like just to be able to have an impact on those type of guys, especially once they leave here. I mean, he's a NFL running back now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but just for him to just to be thinking about me and just shoot me, "I love you," text, and I was like, "I love you too, bro." Like happy for him and his journey, and all of our guys taking their next step in life, whether that's the NFL or whatever they decide to do, man. I'm just happy for our guys, man, and I'm just happy I could be a part of their journey, man. That's really it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it really that example it just shows you kind of how special it is this connection that you have with the players and everybody else inside that building out in Eugene. But man, Carl, it's been awesome getting you on this pod, man, and getting to tell
Yeah,
just a small part of your story.
yeah.
But we're definitely gonna wind down here on the pod. But anything else, I guess, that you wanted to add that people should know about Karl Holmes or just kind of what's going on at Oregon football right now?
Nah, man, guys just got done playing doing the spring ball, spring practice and things like that. And we're kind of ramping up on our community service and professional development. We got a big professional development next Friday, the 17th, that Uzman and Barbara Belandri already they're putting on. So look out for that. I'm sure there'll be some press releases about that event May 17th. And then as far as I go, man. I'm just good. I just want y'all to know that I really care for our guys. If you see me, say what's up, say hi. I don't bite. If you want to take a picture or have a player sign an autograph, if you see him, just if you're scared to approach a player, you can approach me and I'll ask him politely to do it. But man, I'm just happy to be here, man. I'm humbled. I'm blessed. There's a lot of other people that could be in my position, so I don't take it for granted. I'm just happy to be where I am, man, and I'm always trying to be where my feet are instead of thinking about what's next for me. I'm just happy to be an Oregon Duck at this moment, man. I'm very blessed, man. Very, very blessed.
There you go. There you go. Well, excited to have you in this community, Karl, and appreciate you coming on the show, man. If you guys want to find more of Karl, you can follow him on Twitter/X at Karl Holmes Jr. If you want to find more of me, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Torres Sports. You can find me on YouTube at Scoop Duck on 3. We got the channel rocking and rolling. You can read my work over on scoopduck.com. Try us out for a month for just $1. And then share the show, share the Ducks Dish podcast with your friends, with your family, and with other Duck fans. But until next time, a big thank you to Karl again for coming on, and a thank you to you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Ducks Dish podcast.